One of the greatest tragedies of Christian history is that the religion about Jesus that took over the Roman Empire came to see kings and imperial power as a good thing, when it's virtually impossible to read the teachings of Jesus and see that. So after all, is the man who said, the Son of Man has not come to serve, but to be served. That doesn't sound like a authoritarian king to me. This is the man who said, whoever shall be greatest shall be called the least amongst you. That doesn't sound like we should be accumulating power and dominating others, but people can find the way to twist any words to mean whatever they want. So as we're finishing our Kingdom Rising series, let's ask ourselves the question, what does the kingdom that Jesus preached actually look like as we walk together down creation's paths? Hello, everyone. My name is Charlie. I am a Christopagan druid and priest of Bridge.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian. I'm a Christopagan druid and sous chef to the Dagda.
Today, we're going to be talking about what the kingdom actually looks like as we complete our series on Kingdom Rising. But before we get into all that, we have a few exciting announcements. One, if you're not currently listening to our Church of the Oak podcast or joining us live for the Church of the Oak live stream, we hold a meditation together where we just sit and enter into the one life and just have a moment of togetherness. And we're going to start doing that once a month on the week of the new moon. It'll be scheduled ahead of time on both YouTube and Substack, wherever you want to follow us there. And I invite you to come and join us for that. Further announcements coming, but got enough for today. The other one, which I'm still living in a weird dream about, my book, Creation's Paths, is out. This is the galley version. The actual version doesn't have this bar around the middle. This is the not for resale test to see how it actually came out and looks. It's bigger than I thought it was, but you know, when you're typing into a computer, it's hard to see how big something's going to be. I'm very excited about this. If you want to know more about creation spirituality, this is a full primer that I wrote and Brian edited. That has a foreword by Matthew Fox, which is exciting and amazing. And he says some very wonderful, nice words about the work in there. This will take you through all of the main things that are the basics to get started with creation spirituality. But at the end of each chapter, there is a praxis to help you bring what you just learned into your body. Because one of the most powerful things about creation spirituality is it's not something that happens up here. It's something that happens in here. It is an embodied faith. It is something that you actually do, not something that you believe so much. So I'm really excited about this. I'm happy that it is out. We will be talking about this more in future. But if you would like to know more about creation spirituality or just read one of my books, because we've got a lot coming out this year, definitely go check this out. It is available in Kindle ebook and in paperback. And if you have a Kindle Unlimited account, you can read it for free with that for the first 90 days. And depending on how many people are doing that, we'll decide whether or not we're going to continue with that part of the promotion. So if you have that, you might want to jump in and start reading now. But yeah, I'm very excited. In fact, I said this on Church of the Oak, but when it first came out and I was looking at the store page and I saw my name and Matthew Fox's name side by side on the writer line, I was like, they messed up. And then I realized, oh no, he did write the foreword and it marks that he wrote the foreword to it. And oh yeah. And then I got all weepy again because I remember what he wrote in the foreword. So very excited. This has been coming for a long time. In a lot of ways, if you want to know what this book is, this is 20 some years of practice of creation spirituality distilled into a primer to help people understand what creation spirituality is and how to participate in it. All right. So having said all that, and hopefully I can get the blushing down on my face, let's talk about the kingdom. Oh wait, one other thing I forgot to do. Yeah, I told you there's a lot of things today and I'm overly excited and Brian's probably going to cut this out, but I hope he doesn't. I feel like it's sometimes good for people to see me all flustered. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow wherever you're listening to this. We are working on a lot right now, including starting on Easter Sunday, the Risen Gospel of Creation Spirituality will start coming out over there. You'll get one short saying each day as it counts through the Omer, going through the Kabbalistic tree of life week by week for the next 7 weeks, culminating in a very special Pentecost post. I'm really hoping that y'all enjoy this as much as I enjoyed writing it. We've been editing through it, and it's all I want to talk about right now, but it doesn't start actually coming out until Easter Sunday. Yeah. Can you tell how excited I am? So definitely check that out.
It's a very exciting project. It's going to be a very exciting exercise to walk through that with each day. Don't worry, when you're listening to this, it's already started, but it's okay. You can jump in at any point. Because it's a short read, you can either go back and catch up, or you can just start where you're at and go forward from there. And you'll still get a lot out of it, being able to walk down each emanation reflected through each of the emanations. It's, starting with Chest of Hesed and on down through the tree. And a big surprise.
What is the Kindle? I really wanted to start the way that I did because this is, you notice we strike out the G and don't say kingdom, we say kingdom, because that is more what Jesus is talking about. The actual term that's used in the Greek is more like a realm or the sphere of control or something like that. It's not kingdom in the way that we have come to think of that term. And when you actually look at the descriptions that Jesus gave for it and what he called his disciples to do and to be and all of that, he really is calling us into a special kinship with each other. And that kinship really is at the root of everything that we are called to do in the kingdom.
So is this a thing we have to wait till we die to get in?
Okay. One of these days, I'm going to write the post, Original Sin, the Great Apostasy, because original sin caused a lot of things. And one of them is one of the main arguments. I know I harp on this a lot, but please bear with me. One of the main arguments that was going on between Pelagius and Augustine is Pelagius was very much no, we can live in the grace now. We can have it now. We can perfect ourselves now. It's here. It's now while we are alive. We are to bring heaven on earth, like the Our Father says, right? May your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. We are supposed to be bringing it here. And Augustine, being Augustine, was like, that sounds like work. And I don't really like to do work. I like to blame other people for my own problems. So no, this is far off. And it wasn't just him. I want to be clear. It wasn't just him. Other people were trying to place the kingdom, as they put it, off into the far future. And that really caused a lot of problems in the way that people conceive about the teachings of Jesus. It really is important to remember that we have two competing faiths that have kind of intertwined throughout history. And there's the religion of Jesus and the religion about Jesus. And the religion of Jesus is very much, it's here. I mean, Jesus said it himself. The kingdom is among you. You just don't see it. The kingdom is here. It is now. He says this repeatedly in the various gospels. So it is something that should be here and now, not in a far off place. But if you're trying to justify abusing people, extracting wealth from people, and just being a dictator, then people are going to look at their lives and go, well, this doesn't seem very Christian because this isn't very, kingdom here. So no. Eventually, Jesus is going to come back. And when we actually look at what Jesus said in Matthew 25, when he's talking about the judgment of the nations, and nations shouldn't be read the way that we do it today. He's not talking about countries. He's talking about the different groups. So whatever groups exist. So that could be anything that draws the circle around itself and says, I am a group. So these could be churches. These could be countries. They could be ethnicities, tribes, anything you draw a circle around. They're going to be brought to him, and they're going to be judged on how well they did the work of the kingdom. So they were supposed to be doing it here and now. And according to Jesus, the actual judgment at the end of time is, okay, peoples, did you do it? And that's a very different judgment scene than the one that's usually put forward, where it's very personalized and very, you're going to answer for what you did good and bad. And no. It's a collective we. We are going to have to answer for how well we took care of one another. And that really puts the onus on us to bring the kingdom here now. And when you look at what Jesus says there, and you look earlier when he quotes the scroll from the prophet Isaiah and says that this prophecy has been fulfilled in your presence, the ministry, the gospel of the kingdom that he started preaching there, those are the same tasks that are then judged against in the great judgment. When the Son of Man comes and calls all peoples to himself and separates the sheep from the goats.
Here now. When I looked at the totality of it, I really started to understand it's not a physical location. Like I'm sitting in this room physically, books around me and stuff. It's not that. It's more of the mental state that you live in. It's where your mind is. In a way, Deep Space Nine, referencing Star Trek, when the wormhole aliens, however you want to refer to them, were talking to the emissary and trying to understand, and they're talking about where he lives, and they're referring to his memories. That actually is what this is talking about. When you look at what this all is, this is your state of existence. So as far as whether you live in hell, where there is suffering and wailing and gnashing of teeth, and you think about it, and like, if your life is full of suffering and all you're doing is complaining and basically wailing and gnashing your teeth, complaining and griping
And
about
not
it,
doing
fighting
anything.
at other people over it, you're living in hell. You are there right now. This isn't a future thing. You're in it. Congratulations. You're in hell. And it's the same thing with the kingdom. You're literally shifting how you live. You're literally shifting your life from a life of suffering and basically, as we covered in this series, the life of Babylon, of this oppression and suffering and taking and scarcity, or do you live in this life of abundance and life everlasting? It's this mindset, and it's so fascinating because it's something you can see happen. And once you're realizing it is that mindset, you literally are. You're either living in the kingdom, and like it's that whole thing when they're talking about, well, how does the kingdom protect itself? How does it draw its borders? You're either in that mindset and you're in, or you're not in that mindset and you're out. You literally have to be in that mindset, living the life of the kingdom to be in the kingdom. It is self-expulsory. The minute you start living that life of Babylon,
You opt out.
You opt out. You have chosen not to be in the kingdom, and you are literally not in the kingdom anymore. Life is about scarcity. It's about taking what you can take. You got to get yours, screw the other person, all that horrible living. That is a hell existence.
Actually, I think another way to really think about it is it's about living in that web of right relationship. We are called to be righteous. Righteousness is not exclusively about following a checklist so that we are doing all the right things. It's about having the integrity in our relationships, that our relationships are all correctly ordered, that we're not taking advantage of others, that we are living in accord with others, which goes along with, I think, the most misunderstood part of the Sermon on the Mount, which is the Beatitudes. When Jesus says things like, blessed are the meek, and people go, oh, that's cute. No, this is the checklist. Like, these are the attributes that we're supposed to have. And meekness is akin in meaning to the Hebrew word for humble. And humility is not about bowing down and being submissive and ignoring our own needs in favor of others. It's about understanding the right amount of space to take. It really is, again, living in that right relationship where you know that you are not taking space from others, that you are not yielding too much space to others, that you're doing just right, that you are fitting into the place that you should be fitting in at that moment. And it does change from time to time. Sometimes we need to grow and take up more space. And sometimes we need to shrink and listen and take up less space. And that's all dictated by our righteousness, by our right relationships one with another. And when you look at how the principles of the kingdom work out in the descriptions of the kingdom, it is that those interlocking layers of relationship. Jesus says we should be anxious for nothing, as God takes care of the plants, and there's no flower, no person who's adorned as great as a flower. He says, look at the birds. God takes care of the birds and gives them food to eat. And we should understand the same. We shouldn't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow will have all the anxieties necessary for it. And that sounds impossible to us. living in the state that we currently are in that Babylonian place. But when you are living deeply and richly within a community, you understand that you have these supports. You're not as worried about whether or not you're going to have food on the table because people will provide, we take care of each other. We often tell the story about how we knew we had made the right decision when we moved to Oakland, because our neighbors who didn't know us at all saw us moving in and brought over food. Like their first instinct was, moving is a big task. So I made you a casserole. I hope you like it. Now you don't have to worry about taking care of cooking or getting food. You can just worry about things. Oh, by the way, we just got a new set of furniture. Would you like our old set of furniture? You can come take a look at it and tell us if you want it. And instead of having them take it away, we'll just have them move it into your house when they come. So we didn't have to worry about furniture. And those kinds of invisible hands, those kinds of blessings do just pop up. But it's not just those kind of miraculous meetings, but our relationship with those neighbors was like that the entire time we lived there. You were always taking care of each other and looking out for each other. The friend group that I have right now, we do whatever we can to take care of each other and make sure that everybody has what they need. Even though none of us is wealthy, none of us has a lot in and of ourselves, but together we have enough to help support one another. And that's really what a lot of that is about. Once you start living in that right relationship and making those deep friendships with others, this is why it's so frustrating at this attempt in the 1950s to create the nuclear family. I don't live in a nuclear family. I never did. I know cousins that are like fifth and cousins in my family. And to this day, they see Brian in town and stop to talk to him. And how are things going? Do y'all need anything? Because even that far out in the family, we're still trying to take care of one another, because that's what that means. But family, kinship, is more than just who you're related to by blood. It's also those friends that you meet along the way, that found family that you build up as you go. And they get brought in and they start participating, and we all together are taking care of each other. That is a huge part of the image of the kingdom as Jesus saw it.
And through that interconnectedness, through that kinship, that's where we find that meaning and purpose as well in life. We talk about the meaning crisis, and many struggle with that. And a big part of that is because of they're separated. They're living in isolation. And that's one of those things that living in the kingdom brings that interconnectedness, that connection, and helps to reveal what the meaning and purpose is in life.
John Vervaeke's research on meaning and purpose are so revealing. And he cites a lot of other people that my memory is not bringing clearly to mind, but you can go and look at his stuff to get the deeper web there. But what they're finding out is that our sense of meaning and purpose doesn't come from what we believe, but what we do. It's that we feel that our actions are contributing something more than to something greater than us. That there is, the actions themselves create purpose and create meaning. That we are helping our family and creating something better for our posterity. That gives people meaning. That we are creating something that we feel might help someone else or be of service to someone. Those things give us meaning. It's not just creating for creating's sake or creating to get a paycheck or doing things to get a paycheck. That all of that is devoid of meaning and purpose. And since most of us are kind of trapped in this state where that's all we can do, it leads to a meaningless, purposeless state because we are not doing more. So one of the questions that he asks is, what would you do even if you thought, no, it would never be finished in your lifetime? But what's the one thing you would love to have done? And when you start asking yourselves questions like that, you start getting to those things that really do give you meaning. Like for me, it's going to be very weird and self-promoting again, but writing this book was a big part of that. I have practiced creation spirituality since the year 2000, and I have learned a lot, and I wanted to share that. I wanted to be able to share it in an easy way that I could just, when people ask me, I could just hand it to them. Because we do these podcasts and I write the stuff on creationspaths.com, but I wanted something that I could just be like, here is me. You want to know what I've been doing for the last 20 some years? Here, this is me. And I found so much meaning and purpose in putting this together, not knowing if I was going to finish it because I got sick several times in the writing of this, and not knowing if it was ever going to get finished or if anybody was going to like it or what was going to happen with it. But it was the process that gave me meaning and purpose. Not that I can hold this up and say, look what I did, what a good person am I, right? That's not what gives me meaning. It was the process of doing this. It was the process of writing Kingdom Rising, because I am a storyteller. I want to tell stories. That's who I am. That's where I find meaning and purpose. And so anywhere I can tell those stories in the Living Gospel, in the Advent Gospel, in the Paschal Gospel, and the future Green Gospel that I'm in the process of working on, in those places, I find meaning and purpose because I'm telling stories. And that matters to me, because that's the thing. If you want to feel like your life matters, you have to do things that you feel matter to you. This is what the current research is showing. And so you have to find out what matters to you, and don't shrug it off as silly. I also like telling really silly tales about animals doing things in the woods, and like superheroes and people with swords and laser guns going pew, 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 because I enjoy that too. And it's silly, but it matters to me. You need to find out what matters to you. And then, and this is the brilliant part, this is where those right relationships come in. You start finding other people where that matters to them too. I have a lot of friends who are writers, who are crocheters, who love to sew, who love to do nature walks, who love to talk about spirituality in different ways, who like to play certain kinds of games that I love to play, because those things matter to me. They're community. And you need to find for yourself what brings you that sense, what matters to you. Not just because everybody's doing it or this is the thing to do, what matters. And that's kind of at the heart of the kingdom. That's why anxiety can start melting away, because when you're starting to do things that matter, right? A friend of mine loves to crochet and she's started making hats. I took so much pleasure in watching her take pleasure in making a hat for me, because she asked if I wanted a hat. I said, yeah. And I told her what colors I wanted. She just kept giving me updates. Like, I got this much done. I got this much done. And you could see the joy in that, the purpose, the meaning, the wonder, all of those things that we crave in life. And it's in that right relationship, and building those is kind of foundational to the kingdom. And that's something we've lost in our industrialized world, because we're not making things for one another, really, unless it's a hobby, right? We go to work, we make something because our boss tells us to make something, or to do something because our boss tells us to do something, then we go home. And if we're not too exhausted, maybe we do something with friends or something that we want to do. But a lot of times we're just too exhausted, so we just go to bed. The kingdom is all about life, and life more abundantly. And that's really about finding out those things that matter to us individually, and that matter to us as a community, and doing those things.
That's also to some of the last couple things that we covered through this series. Is part of living in the kingdom is being able to recognize and see Babylon, and to understand that we also live in Babylon. As I said earlier, it's a state of mind. So we are physically in both places. Now we can live in and exist in the kingdom, but we have to also understand we're still in Babylon. Other people around us that we're going to interact with may not be living in the kingdom. They may be living in Babylon. So they're still living in this scarcity mindset. They may be ready to take or rob or whatever that comes with living in Babylon. But being able to recognize that, being able to know how to build sanctuaries, those places of refuge where we can rest and recharge, as Charlie was talking about, that even just resting and recharging for the meaning crisis, or learning how to, we might be in a place where, yes, we have to go work that job, but we could still have a full and rich life, because we know that that little time is spent there for that reason, but then the rest of it can be spent building something with meaning and purpose. And we also know that if that job is just there just to pay the bills, then we know that we should be looking for a way to both do something that gives us meaning and purpose and pay the bills. We still have building to do in it, but it all comes from learning how to live in the kingdom and living in the kingdom.
I'm going to say, every time you feel anxiety, Babylon is in the room. In some way, shape, or form, Babylon is in the room. Babylon is bothering you somewhere, because that is the go-to feeling that Babylon has. is just
It,
the constant wall of anxiety.
it always makes me laugh because it's like being a Tolkien fan, I'm always like thinking how the eye of Sauron is upon you. That's what it is. The eye of Babylon's upon you. That's why you got the anxiety.
Well,
And
the love
you
that
know,
Tolkien thing it's that creepy feeling you get when the Nazgul approach.
yeah,
The,
yeah.
the
They're
ring wraiths
creeping
of
around.
war.
They're trying to steal life because they feed on it. They have to consume life, and not in the sense like, you know, us consuming food life, but as in like the liveliness of a thing. Like it's like you think about all the vampire literature.
Well, this is where I've really like gotten stuck on this word consume. I don't like this word consume. I don't know if that's because of any of the original meanings of the word consume or just what it has come to mean today. Because I don't like the idea that I consume food. That's something you do when you just need to ingest a required amount of calories and nutrients to survive. That's consuming food. I want to eat food. I want to savor food. I want to enjoy. I want to savor and enjoy life. I don't want to consume it. And I think this is where Babylon really has done a trick on us in that we're not enjoying media anymore, whether that's books or movies or TV shows. We consume them. They're like chips in a bag. I finished that book. Let me read the next one. I finished that book. Let me read the next one. We're not allowing ourselves that time to sit and enjoy and think about and contemplate and really savor what we just read. And I see this a lot with friends of mine who are really into movies or TV shows or anime or manga or comic books, or especially people who are involved in book talk. Book talk has really ruined reading for so many people because their focus is, I've said I'm going to read X number of books this year, so I have to read X number of books this year. Well, if you just read one book and you love it, that's more valuable to me than forcing myself to choke down 16 books and to find 16 books to choke down so that I can hit a magic number so I can have properly consumed the right number of things. That's Babylon. That's all Babylon thinking, this whole idea of consumption, because that's all it can do. Babylon at its heart has this gaping void in it. The Buddha talked about this insatiable craving that can never be. And we see this in scripture too, this idea of this just insatiable craving that can never be sated. But you know what? It can be. That's what relationships do for us. That's what having those moments of wonder and awe and joy and compassion and creativity and silence and release and repair and interfering with injustice, all of that we talk about in the four paths, that's what they do. They're satisfying. That's not to say that you never get hungry again, but they show you where the food is and make sure that the food is good. So that you never get thirsty again, but they know where the fresh water is. So you never have to go searching for it again. That's the point of the paths, is to help us to align ourselves with and to find those things in our daily lives. And it's just really frustrating looking out at the world and just seeing this consumption. I just feed the beast, feed the beast, feed the beast. Well, slay the beast. I'm tired of the beast. The beast buys and sells people. I don't want to have anything to do with the beast. I want to enjoy. I want to savor. I want to find wonder and awe. I want to have that because that is what having life more abundantly really means. And the more we're trapped in the treadmill of the endless scroll, the less we're going to be able to have those moments, because you have to pause to savor. If you just shovel in all the chocolate cake, well, you consume the chocolate cake. But if it's really good chocolate cake, sorry, that's one of my favorites is chocolate. Insert your favorite here for chocolate if it's not chocolate. But if you really want to savor that chocolate, you find yourself just kind of slowing down and just chewing on it maybe a little bit longer, letting the flavor just sit in your mouth a little bit longer before you take the next bite. You just luxuriate in it because it's here and it's now and it's wonderful. Maybe there's a song that you love and you just turn it on and just for a moment, stop what you're doing and just lose yourself in it to find those things that give life meaning. We're never going to find that in a consumer economy. We're never going to find that if we stay consumers. And we're never going to create that if all we're about is making content. We get tempted all the time with our stuff on YouTube and other places to just become a content mill. And I've done that, been there, done that, have the t-shirt, have the burnout to prove it. I want to make things that matter. I want to make things that I love, that give me purpose. Like this, or the Kingdom Rising series we're finishing now, or the Paschal Gospel series we're finishing, or the Advent Gospel that's finishing, or the Living Gospel that's just starting, or any of the fiction books that I've worked on, or the stories I'm still working on. It means something to me. Yeah, I could just splat some stuff out, put it out into the world, but I would lose meaning there, and it's not worth that cost. And so whatever we can do to just lay our hands on that meaning again and just have it. That's what living in the kingdom really is, at least to me.
As I like to say, choose life in easy mode. Live in the kingdom. It really is. It really is in the long run the easier way, because with everybody taking care of everybody, scarcity is not a thing. It ceases to be. You find out you have what you need when you need it. And you'll find that at times you'll have abundance that you can give to somebody else who's in need when they need it. And it just passes around. It all evens out.
I hope that gives you a better sense of what life is like in the kingdom. If you would like to read, I think one of the most beautiful things I wrote in Kingdom Rising, the essay is available over at creationspath.com. And you can see this beautiful vision of the kingdom that I wrote over there. This is a topic that we're probably going to revisit a lot because it is kind of the core of Jesus' teaching. After all, he taught the gospel of the kingdom, not of one person's specialness, but of our mutual care and concern for one another. And that really matters. So let me know what you thought. Let us know what else you want to do. We're currently working on a series on Christopaganism because one of you asked for it. So we're currently in the process of working on that, but we love to do things that y'all are interested in. So don't hesitate to let us know what it is that you want us to be working on, because after all, we do this for the community, and we want to make sure that we are helping you all find your meaning and purpose as best as we can.
If you're listening to us on YouTube, Spotify, or creationspath.com, you can leave a comment right there. If you're listening to us anywhere else, even if they say you can leave a comment, they don't notify us, so we won't know. But you can leave a comment there anyway, because engagement is magic. And then head over to creationspaths.com, click on chat, and you can leave a message there, and we will see it, and we will be able to get back to you. While you're there, if you happen to have a few dollars, you can pass our way. We offer monthly and annual memberships. You can also support us on Patreon and Ko-fi. I am CE Dorset on both, and you can support us using the Cash App hashtag CreationsPaths. Thank you to everybody who does that. We are ever so grateful. Thank you so much. You all really do help us keep the lights on, keep a roof over our head, and food on our table. If we've ever said anything that's helped you out, please share it with others. That helps us out more than you know.
Before we leave, just a simple prayer. Oh, sweet Lord Jesus, help us to say with Julian of Norwich, all shall be peace. All shall be peace. And to understand the depth from which that arises. That when we understand the true nature of passion and loving kindness, that we find that peace that passes all understanding, that is at the heart of the kingdom. May grace ever flow throughout our lives, and we ever be mindful of it. Amen.
Amen.